Thank you, everybody, for joining. We are so excited to have Emily Gray. Emily Denise Gray was born in Coleman, Alabama, and spent her childhood at various U.S. Army bases where her mother was stationed. She spent her formative years in Giebelstadt, Germany. I think I pronounced that right.
Yep.
She and her family moved back to North Alabama, where she completed middle and high school. At 22, she entered the U.S. Air Force and became a firefighter, where she obtained the rank of Staff Sergeant. She served honorably for 6 years, including a deployment to Iraq, where she enlisted. When her enlistment was up, she continued to work for the DoD as a civilian federal firefighter. In October 2016, when the DoD rolled back the ban on being transgender in the military, she began taking steps to begin her transition so she could live her authentic life. She is currently living out and proud as a fire captain for the U.S. Navy in Florida at the Naval Support Activity, Panama City. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Emily.
Hey. Wow, now I don't know what to say. You took all my words. All right. Well, I'm gonna start a timer because I can talk all day long if I'm not timed. So I'm gonna time myself so I can try to keep it within 30 minutes. Yes, all of that. I grew up on military bases when I was younger, and the title of my presentation, the sad truth about what happens when transgender people are suppressed and misrepresented, is basically a story that a lot of people that came out later in life know. A lot of kids these days are very fortunate to have the words and have the representation out there, even if it is not where we need it to be currently. But they're able to at least know about transgender people and know that it's not like just something crazy like when I was a kid. I didn't know exactly that I was trans when I was a kid. I didn't have the words. What I did know was that men that dressed or acted like women were jokes, and I know that people made fun of those people, and if you were one of those people, then you know it wasn't good for you. People would get mad at you if you would do things. I know I was told, or one of the earliest things I remember after I look back at my life when I came out was that I remember very early on being told that I sashay when I walk, and that I shouldn't do that. And at the time, I mean, I didn't understand really what that meant or anything. I was just, I guess, emulating the figures that I identified most with, and I was just being me. But I was trained on how not to sashay. So, and that's the way my childhood went. Just various little lessons, and I eventually realized that certain actions would get people to respond negatively towards me. So I learned very quickly how to read people and how to know that when someone was accepting me and when I was going too far. So I figured out what the line was. I learned how to balance who I felt inside and who people wanted me to be. And I started very early on building a different version of me because that's what was expected. And I thought, wow, my brain's not working right. I have to act like these other people. Like I'll act like my dad, or I'll act like these other boys that I'm hanging around. I'm supposed to act like that. Like I don't want to go and play with the girls over there, even though I really actually do want to go play with the girls over there, but I can't do that. That's not what you do. So that was how things were when I was a kid. But there were always little clues, like there were little things that I look back on when I came out. Was like, my parents would always make fun of me. I would during Christmas. My sister is 8 years younger than me, but after she was born, on Christmas, whenever she would get her presents, I would run over to her presents first and start looking through them and playing with them. And my parents would always say, "Oh, he's just trying to figure out, or make sure she didn't get something better than he did," and all that stuff. And they were like laughing about it. But really, I was just like, wow, look at this. That's cool. I want that. That's awesome. Then I'd go play with my toys, which I also wanted too. But, you know, there were things that I wanted that I knew that I shouldn't, or I wasn't supposed to anyway. So when I was younger, based on all of the stuff that I learned, I formed a separate life. And this is I feel like what happens to at least some people, I guess. When I had the realization that I was trans, I thought this was the craziest thing that ever happened to me. Because it was almost like I had two different personalities. When I was alone, I would do all of the feminine things that I like to do. I would, you know, look at my mom's clothes, and I would put on dresses and stuff, and I would play with makeup and do fun things like that. I thought it was great. And then when I was around other people, I didn't do that. I even, like, so far to the other side, I would make fun of feminine guys or gay people or anything like that, because, you know, that's what boys do. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how you fit in, right? And at the time, I didn't even realize what I was doing. So I had these two separate personalities, and I had, you know, stuff hidden in my room and stuff. And like one time, my parents found a stash of pennies that I had in my room, and I thought I was done. Like I had no idea what to say or how to act. I was just, I was real quiet about it. And my dad gave me the best out, and he didn't even realize. He was like, would you and your friends go on a panty raid? Is that what happened? And you guys just stole some girls' panties or whatever? And I was like, yes, that's what we did. Yep. And he was like, you're not supposed to do that. And then I got in trouble, and I was like, ooh, yeah, I know. It's horrible. Punish me. I am so sorry for doing that. But they had no idea. And that my lives at that point almost converged, but they didn't. And I still stayed separate, and went on with my two separate lives. I always knew I was bisexual. I didn't really always know. I didn't always have that word either, but I knew I was bisexual before I knew I was trans. Knew I was attracted to people, not really genders, but I don't know. I feel like that was the beginning for me, as far as like being able to accept who I was, because I was able to do that. Even though I was closeted about it, I was able to navigate the LGBTQ side quietly, and start learning more words and learning to be more accepting of myself. So in spite of all the training and watching and mimicking I had done to build up this masculine personality that everybody would love and adore, I never felt masculine enough. So I was always trying to do stuff to be more masculine. So that's why I ended up joining the military. I was like, well, maybe that'll man me up, you know? That's what the military does. So I joined the military, became a firefighter. Very testosterone-based career field. There are women firefighters, but it's not a very big group. You know, anybody, I don't know how common knowledge it is. I've been a firefighter for so long. I don't know what people know about firefighting or not, but the career field itself is very male dominated, and there's still many firsts for females all the time. I'm part of several Facebook groups of just female firefighters, and there's constantly new stories about, hey, first female firefighter at this department, first female captain at this department, And so it's like there's still a lot of firsts for females in the fire department. So it's a small group. So a lot of testosterone, and you're expected to be very, very manly. And so, hey, I was like, hey, these people, emulating these people will get me there, and it didn't. So that was weird for me. I still kept my secret cross-dressing life. I guess that's what I considered it as I was growing up. Just like, I just like to wear female clothes. That's all. There's nothing wrong with that, except for when I'm not doing it, and then I make fun of it. I don't know. It was weird. Weird dichotomy. So what ended up happening one day. So I was married right after high school. She ended up leaving me when I joined the military. So like I joined the military just a little too late, I guess. But one of the main reasons she gave me at the time for cheating on me and ultimately us getting divorced was that I wasn't man enough for her. And so I thought that was weird. Actually, and looking back too, like I had several girlfriends back in high school and stuff that would say similar things, or I would do stuff. I would call too much, or I would do too many things that I guess were supposed to be too girly. I don't know. I just love how I love, and apparently I love how women love. I don't know, but it got picked up on a lot because a lot of people told me that, and I thought it was weird. So that was another reason why I really wanted to really man up. I needed people to know I was masculine. Dang it, I'm worthy of love. So I ended up getting married again, and one day, this was not very long ago. So I only came out publicly 4 years ago, about 4 years ago. So this was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, because I was out to just a couple of people for a little bit, and I was sitting at home, and I was home alone, and I was wearing my ex-wife's clothes, looking pretty, putting on makeup, and just really feeling myself that day. And that moment, I don't know what it was, but I was feeling just so wonderful about myself. And the thought hit my mind out of nowhere. Why do I have to hide it? Why do I hide this all the time? Why can't I do this all the time? And at this point, I had understood that there were trans people. I never paid attention to them. I was like, it wasn't me. I had separated myself so far from who I really was that I didn't get it. But when this idea hit my head, it exploded. Like, it was the craziest convergence of my lives, and it really, like, I was stunned. Like, it was stereotypical, like what you would see in like a movie or a cartoon, where like all of a sudden, like, just everything starts flashing through your brains, and I like sit down and I like had to just process for like an hour of like, wow, what I'm trans, like I'm a woman, like obviously, like what the crap, like that's why I've been doing this, and that's why I was do this, and that's why I would play with my sister's toys, and that's why, like, all these things just were going through my head, and I was like, wow, and it was amazing. I was so amazed and happy in that moment, and I don't even know how to describe how amazing it was. So I realized I was trans. I sat on it for about a week or so, I guess, and toyed with the idea. And then I was like, you know what? My ex-wife at the time, she was fairly supportive. I know she loved me a lot, and she kept me very closeted with my bisexuality, though. Like, she was like a real big gatekeeper on that. She didn't let me tell people, which, looking back, I think it's weird. Like, why did I let that happen? That's odd. Like, she didn't have control of my story, but I let her out. Don't tell people. If I would tell anybody, and she found out that I told someone, if I opened up to them, she would get mad at me and stuff. Like, it was weird. But like, she didn't want people to know that she was married to a bisexual, even though she was openly bisexual. It was very weird. I didn't understand that either. But she was nice about things. She supported me for pretty much everything else. So I was like, well, I'm gonna come out to her, right? So I put on that outfit, same outfit that I had come to the realization because I was really feeling it, and I don't know, that I just really felt it. So I was like, yeah, put that on, right? And so I did, and then she walked into the room, and I didn't even sorry, I didn't even get to say anything before she just started laughing, just so aggressively laughing at me, and that was tough. It really broke my heart because I thought she would be supportive, and I was really happy about it. So that hurt a lot, and that ultimately led to our divorce. So because, I mean, already with the bisexual part, and then with that on top of it, she after she had stopped just aggressively laughing at me. And I took it off. I took off the outfit and I joked it off like, yeah, it was funny. I was just joking. And even though I was dying inside, I sat on it for a couple more days and then talked to her about it. And it was that moment, like did it for me. Like, our relationship was over. That, like, I couldn't still be in that relationship anymore. I knew I was gonna eventually want to come out, and she's got a very religious family, and like, there was just I couldn't justify it in my head. There was no way that I could still be with her. So that it ended up being my decision to get divorced. And to this day, if you talk to her, she will tell you that we got divorced because I cheated on her, I think. Even though we were in an open relationship and I was already dating somebody, and the person and it's the person that she says that I cheated on her with, that I left her for. I think that's how she justifies it in her head, but it was because of that. And I let her know that. She tried to tell me that she would be supportive and we didn't have to get divorced and all these things, but it wasn't gonna. She had broken my heart too much. Whew. So we got divorced. I stayed with the person that I was dating at the time, and we're still together. She stayed with me throughout my entire transition. We had some growing to do together as people, to let that happen in our lives. Like, not like, it wasn't that she was stopping me or anything. Like, it's a process when you come out. Like, everybody's got to learn and figure things out. And so we did that together before I came out to everyone else. So at this point, I was a firefighter at the Navy base. I'd already gotten out, and I was over at the Navy base as a firefighter. I was still just a regular firefighter. I don't know how to say that to people that aren't firefighters. But I was like one of the people that sat in the back of the truck. You know, I did the hose pulling and all that stuff. I wanted to come out, but I wasn't sure how to do it. I thought I was very scared because I still at this point I didn't know any trans people. I knew people online. I went into many forums and talked and did things, but I didn't know anybody personally in real life that was trans. So in my head, what was going to happen was I was going to come out at work. I felt safe. This is during the Obama administration, right towards the end of it. And I felt very safe about the whole thing. They lifted the trans ban. They were letting trans people in. So I was like, okay, I feel like I'm good. I work for the federal government. I mean, it's not like I'll lose my job. So I felt safe, but I was still scared because I'm a firefighter, and I didn't want to have to tell all of the guys at work, you know, hey, I'm trans. So I had this moment of like, I don't know what to do now, and I was in a limbo because I was still trying to figure it out. So I'd already been to the doctor, and I had talked to people, and I met somebody. I talked to the sexual assault lady on base. Every military base has a SARC, sexual assault. I forget what the acronym's for, but either way, the sexual assault people. And I thought, hey, I can talk to her. I don't know why. I'd seen her before. She gave me really good vibes. I just felt like she would be the person I talked to about it. I didn't know who else to. And she said, hey, there's another trans woman on base that just came out. And I was like, really? I was like, well, I'd like to meet her. And she wouldn't give me her information because obviously, but I was like, well, talk to her and give her my information. Like, I would like to talk with someone. And so this person was pretty high ranking in the military at the time, in the Navy. And I talked with her, and she gave me the strength and the base to be able to come out. I was like, well, look, there's another trans person on base, because I was afraid that I would come out and everything would be safe, and then I would be like the token trans person on base. I had this weird notion in my head that they would be like, we have a transgender person on base, and then like I would every time there was like some kind of diversity meeting, they would be like, hey, do you want to speak? Like I thought it was going to be like one of those things, like I'd be like on a poster or something. So I was kind of worried about it, and I was like, hey, there's another trans person on base, so I don't have to worry about that. So I started taking hormones, and like the day that I was going to start taking my hormones was the day I came out at work. I made it. At the time, our schedule was 24 on, 24 off. Fire department, our schedule's crazy. I currently work 48 hours on and 72 hours off. So I'm at the station for 48 hours, but the time was 24. And I'd scheduled some leave so that I would be off for a couple of days. And every morning we have a roll call, and everybody stands up, and you pass on to each shift all the important stuff. So everybody's there, and the chief usually heads the whole thing, and then he asks each shift if anybody has anything. And he got my shift, and I said, yeah, I would like to say something. Hi, I'm transgender. I thought everybody should know because I'm about to start taking hormones, and there's going to be some changes, and I'm not going to be able to hide it much longer. So I'm transgender, and that's that. And I'm sure I said other things. There was a lot of adrenaline and fear running through me at the time. So I don't remember exactly how everything went. But to my surprise, everybody was very supportive at that morning. I was on my way out the door. So like everybody was like, "Oh, yay, that's awesome! You know, so brave," and you know all the things people say when they're supportive when you come out. And I was like, "Okay, cool, bye now." And I ran and got in my car, and I didn't come back for like a week. And I planned it that way so that they would have time to like just talk amongst themselves and get all the jokes out of the way or whatever. You know, everybody come up with a plan, and so I wouldn't have to deal with that portion of the whole thing. So I came out, and that was that. That was 4 years ago, and I've been on hormones ever since. After I came out, there were a couple of issues in the department, but they were very minor, and everything was fine. And everybody accepted me so much. I was even still able to get promoted in spite of that. I got promoted after I'd come out. So, yay, my work.
Stop it. It's not in spite of that. It's because of that. Don't
Well,
even talk about
maybe.
it.
Maybe.
You know what I'm
I'll give
saying?
you that. I'll give you that.
You
But-
are you, so don't say in spite of that. No.
But in my head,
Be you.
I thought, you know, once I came out, it was over. I wasn't going to be the person anymore. You know, like people, I would fall into the background. So I was able to get. But you're right. That's a good point. It wasn't in spite of that. It was because of that. You're right. But I got promoted, and so now I'm a captain, and everybody in my department is really awesome for me. But it took me a long time to get there. When I came out, like I said, I ended up getting divorced. My sister disowned me. She hasn't talked to me since I came out. Everybody else has been accepting. My mom took a while to get there, but she accepted me. But it took me a while, and I had a really good foundation. And my parents were always very supportive. And I feel like if I would have come out earlier, they would have been fine too. But they didn't give me the words to be able to they didn't on purpose not give me the freedom, but like I'd learned the cues and stuff, so I knew that they didn't want me to be. They wanted me to be that little boy, you know. So like I didn't feel like I was able to come out. If I had, then I probably would have discovered myself a lot earlier. If I would have had the representation from, you know, positive role models on television or just any kind of representation at all that let me know that it was okay to feel the way I felt. And that's what happens when trans people aren't represented correctly, or if they're suppressed. That's what happens. People suppress themselves to try to fit into the mold of what they're expected, or what they think they expect. I think we all know. I'm not sure who else in here. Maybe we have some people that don't know, but I think we all know that transgender people are some of the most marginalized people on the planet currently. With Black trans women of color being at the very tippity top of that sad list, and that it's hard being trans and being out in the public. I feel like I'm kind of isolated a little bit from some of the problems because I do work on the Navy base. So most of my, like half my life at least, I'm at work and I'm safe there. And then when I come home, I'm safe with my people. So it's just my times that I go out, which I limit. I quit going anywhere after I came out because I didn't want to get beat up, you know? The one time that I did go to a bar after I came out, some of the firefighters that I used to work with in the Air Force, somebody retired, and they wanted me to come out, and I didn't want to, because I didn't want to be out at a bar in Panama City as a trans woman. I was not, but they talked me into it. And sure enough, that night I was there with a bunch of firefighters though, and they were all very, very supportive, and they were ready to completely defend me no matter what. But there was a group of guys there that wanted to have a fight. And that was my only experience going out as a trans person. And it was scary. Like, I mean, had I not been there with people that were ready to defend me, what would I have done? I would have just got beat up, I guess. So don't go to bars. I don't know. The Human Rights Campaign came out with the numbers for 2020, and at least 44 transgender people were confirmed to be murdered by violent means. At least 44, and I say at least 44 because there are a lot of trans people that get. Sorry, I just saw that little note pop up at the top. They get misgendered by the news and the cops and stuff whenever they get murdered. So sometimes we don't know that they're trans. Forbes came out and said that at least 350 trans people globally were murdered in 2020. So the suicide rate, 40% for trans people is what they say, and it's hard. But that's the way it is for trans people. And if we don't have the representation out there, if we keep getting misrepresented, this is going to continue. I personally have never attempted suicide, but I have thought about it several times. I think almost all trans people probably think about it at least once. Probably a big portion of the LGBTQ community, according to statistics, do. And it's all because of representation. And that is the sad truth about what happens when transgender people are suppressed and misrepresented. That was all of my time. So, and that was the end of my speech. So there you go. That's me.
Thank you so much, Emily. I feel I wore eyeliner today and I shouldn't have, honestly.
I thought I was going to lose it for a minute too.
I know. When you told the story about the dress, oh my God, your beautiful outfit you had. I just couldn't imagine being let down by someone I care about that much.
It was hard.
Does anybody have any questions for Emily before we get booted to the main room? I know I have one, but I'll let everyone else have a turn first.
I had to duck out for a second, Emily. I'm sorry, but you were talking about your ex-wife, your wife at the time, and she was semi-supportive. Was she just only supportive like in your private? And everybody goes to sex. Everybody thinks that transgender and all this stuff is about sex. And it's not. It's about who you are. But was she supportive in that way? And then when she walked in on you and you were dressed, that was a different take for her? Or did she?
She didn't know at the time, like at all, until that moment when she walked in. Like she had no idea. Nobody did. I had never let anybody see that side of me.
But she knew you were bi, right?
Yes, and
y'all were both bi.
And for that, she was secretly supportive. But yeah, she didn't want me to be out about my bisexuality. So yeah, she was secretly supportive about that, and she would talk about that in private, but not publicly. And she wouldn't let me talk about it publicly either, which was weird, I thought.
And I admire you so much for being open about this, because I have so many friends that are, they're just people to me, but they're trans and all that stuff. And to me, they're just people like you. I love everybody. I don't care what package it's in. I just like the energy that comes out.
Right.
And it could be in any kind of package like you. But I had a very, very good friend who passed away earlier this year. and she was one of the most gorgeous human beings you'd ever want to meet. And when I put that she had passed, and I put she was actually what they called a fantasy girl at Club La Vila. I mean, she wore the tiny little outfits, and she was basically a stripper, but she hadn't had the final bottom surgery, and everybody loved her because of that. I mean, the people who knew loved that. But when she died, and I put her gorgeous bikini picture up there, I got some of the most unfriendly Christian people talking about, oh, so did she finally ever become a full woman? And it was just like, oh my God, she's more of a woman than you've ever been. You know, so those kind of things, I don't know how to, you know, I come to their immediate defense, and it may not be for me to defend, but I think if we don't stand up for each other just as being a human, you know, then where are we? It doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't matter what's under the desk. I mean, look, we're all sitting here tops up. I'm naked under the desk, people. I don't even know. I don't got a pants up. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, it doesn't matter. And I just think that if we just love each other for who we are, and you know, our humanity and all that stuff, the rest just falls into place.
Agreed.
So I admire you so much, Emily. You have no idea. And you know, I have other people who've transitioned completely, and now they basically deny the other side, and now they have nowhere to go. Do you know what I'm saying? Now they're not really welcome on either side.
Yep.
And I don't know how to, I mean, other than just love them and be their friend, but that's everybody's own choice. But it doesn't matter, you know, what goes on in the bedroom, you know.
Yep. Agreed.
You're amazing.
Thank
I
you.
admire you so much.